education, and real-world knowledge about the voiceover industry. It's the Voiceover Gurus podcast.
Last time, I get all distracted talking to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
And it's true. It's true. It's true.
Is it? When do we go? Do we 1, 3, 2? Is that how we do it? Ready? Take one and only.
I don't quite understand that concept. It just shows in the waveform that you a big spike.
I do weird stuff.
But people do that all the time.
If I have a take, if I'm reading something and it's like, and I read something over and over and over again, and then I make a mistake, like after 2.5 minutes, I don't want to have to go and find it. So rather than cut it out, I go beep, 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 beep. And it shows up as a very distinct little thing in the waveform. And then I just go get it. And I guess, yeah.
I don't know. My memory's not that bad, so I wind up remembering in the waveform where I screwed up. But how special for me, right?
Mm-hmm. Am I feeding you back to you? No. Am I? Talk.
Hello.
Yeah, I am.
Hello. My name is Linda Bruno. This is the Voiceover Gurus podcast. Welcome back with my old friend, pal, buddy, Brian Lee.
Mm-hmm. Old.
Hello.
How you been? What's new? I love your studio. Your studio is so cool.
Yeah, it's got some warm tones in it. What's new? A lot's happened since you and I have chatted.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I got married.
You got married?
Your lovely daughter graduated from University of Florida.
Mm-hmm.
With what did she get? Her master's or doctorate? What'd she get?
She got her master's in, she did 4 years at Belmont University with a undergrad, and her major was songwriting and her minor was music business. And then she did 2 years at UF for business management and marketing.
Nice. Yeah. So lots of things happening recently, which has been good. What about you? What's going on?
Well, business as usual. Been busy. Had a really good year. Looked at the numbers from last year and considering, that so many things are changing. I did well. I got a lot of wonderful buyers and clients who just continuously come back. And I think that, providing just a good, solid service is like probably now these days 75% of the work. You know what I mean? Just to really, because now what I figured is, I just took a vacation after 3 years. And
where'd you go?
Hawaii.
When did you go?
Tammy and I went to Hawaii. We went April 20th to the 30th.
Oh, okay. So pretty recent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nice. And it was 10 days gone and
literally gone.
Right.
Everything.
And the agent, off grid. And the agents and the managers, I was doing the Nike Air campaign for Amazon. And the great thing about it was the trailer, it started before we left. I started working on it a couple months before that. And I was like, oh man, you don't want to leave in the middle of a campaign because it's like, that's how you make your money. And then they go, where's our voice? And then, that's not a good thing, but it was a theatrical release. And then after that, it was the digital release. So I left after the theatrical release. And the manager was like, hey, can you bring some equipment? And so I go to Tammy and I said, probably wouldn't hurt to bring an iPad. And she's like,
oh boy.
Like, if you bring an iPad, you are going to be looking at your phone all the time. And I said, well, I can carve out a little window and after 13 years, she's like, no, you won't.
No, you won't.
You have to be off grid, Brian. You just have to be. You cannot be thinking about work at all. It's a vacation.
That's what it's for. Yeah.
And then I was like, you know what? You're right. You're absolutely right.
Is this the Nike Air, the movie that's on?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
With,
the Matt
I
Damon.
See that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. It looks
my family saw it. They said it was really good.
Really? Yeah. So let's talk about trailers then.
Okay.
I think we talked up the can't talk. You had me do this very early in the morning as far as I'm concerned. I don't get crank until at least 10 a.m. So let's talk about trailers. I do believe we talked about it in a podcast many, many moons ago. But I just wanted to find out now these days how things have changed and what the process is really. Is there a process?
I mean, like the process of getting it as a talent, or like the operations behind the scenes. I think it's all kind of slid a little bit. I mean, when I started in trailers, if we want to go down that rabbit hole, when I started in trailers, it was there were only like 10 guys doing it, and five good ones, you know. Yeah. And so I got into it, and it was pretty turnkey. There was a pardon me, there was a lot of respect on either side about how to the process. There was a respect from the talent and a respect from the trailer houses, and you got a call and you did up to 4 auditions, up to 4 scripts per trailer house on a campaign for nothing. You didn't even get paid for it because you wanted to get on the campaign. And so you do that, and if they liked you, they'd call your manager and go, "We like Brian on this movie, and can we get him to read some more?" And it's like, "Yeah, but you have to pay." So they would pay a flat fee, and they would get up to 4 more, up anywhere from 1 to 4 more trailers for a flat fee. And that's per trailer house. So if there was a Pixar movie or a Paramount movie, and 2 different trailer houses were working on it, that went for each trailer house. So you could make a flat fee for doing up to 4 for this trailer house, and then another one would come working on the same movie, and you get the same thing. So it became very lucrative. And if it went to the next 4, if they sent you 5, it was the flat fee, and anywhere from 5 to 8, it was the same fee again. So you get double fee. And then, as with everything, costs, people start counting dollars and costs and everything and trying to save money. And trailer houses started sharing the expense, which is outside of the agreement.
Right.
And so, you know, the managers and the agents and the talent and even the union, I think, was like, "No, you can't do that." Right, and everyone overreacted. And then it got down to like, well, now you get 1 audition and you don't get 4. And now you have to pay per cut instead of per 4 cuts, which for the same rate, which basically made it 4 times more expensive for a trailer house. And I was like, "Don't do that. That's not a good idea." And they're like, "Well, you know, they have to use talent." And then so they did it, and then it all imploded. You know, they found way. That's when the long form trailer. You know, like I can remember, like meet Paul Blart Mall Cop. You know, when I did that campaign a billion years ago, the trailer was a story. It was like, meet Paul Blart. You know, Paul's a mall cop, and then it goes on. It has clips and but Paul Blart's about to find out, you know, that he should save the mall or whatever the line. Right. And then, you know, go whatever from Paramount Pictures, you know, and then it gets to the end, you know, mall cop rated PG. And so there was a whole trailer. Well, then when this expense came through, and they start working on trailers 4 months out, you know, before launch. And this is before digital. And so you worked for 4 months and you just made lots of money. It was wonderful. Well, then when this whole change happened and everything kind of imploded, trailer houses just went to no voices. And so whole trailers were just stories with cards. We call them cards. You know, they come up and said, "He's having a bad day," or "this summer," or whatever. So you don't need talent for that until the domestic campaign came out. And then they would go to talent. And they just found ways around it and ways to save money. So it's not, the trailer industry is very different now. Now, a lot of trailer houses will not pay you to work. They'll pay you for what they use. Right. So there's an honesty thing going on.
But doesn't your agent watch that?
No, the agents and the managers don't know what, you know, what they have, like a little minion watching TV. Aha! that one. That one. No, it doesn't work that way. It's really kind of an honor system now. The trailer house comes back after weeks and weeks. Like I did the Air campaign, and they said Brian finished on like 17 or 20 spots. And I did the digital campaign, now on video, now on Prime. And we're waiting for that number. I finished. I read a whole bunch of stuff, and then they take what they do and they make it together. And then they, okay, maybe this. We finished on this, and this is what we're going to pay for this.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so if they didn't want to tell the truth, who would know? You know? And they don't give you a list.
Oh,
they say 17 spots. They don't, and you don't go, "Give me a list of those spots." Right. I want to see what they're called.
Financial compensation, like when you did Paul Blart Mall Cop, you know, how much, do you mind sharing how much you made for that?
I don't remember. Tens of thousands.
Tens of thousands.
Tens
Okay.
of thousands of dollars. Well, you work on it for months and months and months, and you're making, what rates are in the thousands to voice for them per session. So you do pretty well. I mean, if you work on a lot of trailers, you do well.
But now the rates has it changed significantly where you're not making as much, or because of the structure is different now?
I think the rates, they're just doing less work. They do a lot more testing with scratch tracks and stuff like that. Before, it used to be, we want to hear the talent on every scratch. The studio would be like, show us a trailer. And then when you start, they would have a voice. And then after that, the studio wanted to save money, and the trailer house didn't have a budget. And so somebody started scratching it, like an editor would scratch. And then the studio would deal with it until it was time to put a real trailer voice on it. So money-wise, I mean, yeah, it's a lot less per campaign, but if you have more campaigns, you can, it's like,
even it out.
Yeah.
So as far as performance goes, how do you do a trailer read? Like what?
Yeah, I know, right? It's kind of a magical thing. It's an interpretation that it's like everything that you do is different. If you're narrating, it sounds different, right? You know this. If you're doing a commercial, your delivery is different. It's a different interpretation, and it's your interpretation, right? It's how you interpret what you're doing. So it's just, trailers are a different interpretation, and I mean, I guess if I read it, it would be like, this is kind of weird. Like, I'm trying to think of one. Princess and the Frog. Many people have heard about the story of the Princess and the Frog. I mean, you're not going to read a commercial that way, and you're not going to read a narration that way. And I'm not going to read a promo for news that way. Tonight on Action News, you're not going to, a building blew up in Southern California, rated PG. What will the police do? And now, I mean, you're not going to read it that way. So it is an interpretation, and that interpretation is kind of burned into the minds of producers and people and studios. So you have to have an understanding of how to interpret a trailer read. Like, I don't get narration, right?
Right.
And I don't feel overly comfortable narrating. I mean, I get narrations and stuff like that, but I don't live off of them. And there are great guys out there.
Yeah.
That just can narrate all day, and they're a perfect storyteller. Mm-hmm. And when I see it on TV, I'm like, oh, it's magic. Mm-hmm. I get a narration and I see it on TV. I'm like, ew. I'm like, it's like I'm not even seeing the visuals.
Right.
And when we were together with Peter Thomas, and he always wanted me, Brian, I want you to narrate. You got to learn narration. And we would sit and I would do it, and he would help me with it, but I just hooked up an old DAT machine. Oh no, I bought one because mine broke. So I bought a DAT machine for like $300, and I went through the masters of like Advantage Productions and stuff.
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah, I think you talked about that the last time we were chatting.
So back to trailers. Trailers are just a different story, and you can't get into trailer houses without management. Trailer houses don't really talk to agents that much. Agents are more about getting the billing done. The trailer and the trailer rate and your compensation and the job are all communicated through a manager who works specifically with the trailer industry. Longtime managers who know the people in all the studios. Who's heading up Paramount right now? Who's at Warner? You know what I mean? And that they don't have time, and it's all very turnkey. Mm-hmm. They'll reach out to a manager and say, hey, we got a new movie for blah. Here's a script. Send some people over.
Yeah. So much easier.
Right. Mm-hmm. The great thing is, like, we'd like to try Brian Lee on this. That's what you want. It's like, hey, and I get a text from the manager going, hey,
they want to try you on this.
Sony wants to try you on, this new animated film because I've done so much work for them. So
again, it goes back to those relationships we talked about last time. Mm-hmm.
Right. So, but, you can still, if you're not available, I have found out that if I do a lot of work for Jimmy Kimmel, which is not narration, but it's comedy. And, for their spoof spots.
Yeah.
And I have found out that if I get my audition in like right away, immediately, and it's halfway decent and it gets to the editor right away through the casting director, then they'll just stick with it unless they hate it. Or they'll wait a minute. They might. Yeah. But if I can get it in quickly, because
they're producing so much stuff that they just want to get it going.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's just like by the time Jimmy Kimmel approves the script and then it goes out to the casting director and the casting director throws it out to the agents, you get it. And if the agents are quick, that's the other thing too, is you never know how fast the agents work with the buyer.
Right.
There could be some assistant, and they could be at lunch or they could be on the phone or they could be in the middle of doing something more important or important. And the casting director will send an audition and go, hey, we need this now. This shoots today. This records today. It airs tonight on Kimmel. We need it. If the agent's assistant or the agent or the agent's assistant sits on it for 15, 20 minutes, which they do, not because they're irresponsible, because they're busy. It could be 30, 45 minutes or an hour till I get it.
Wow.
By that time, if somebody is more, on the ball, then they're going to get it in.
Right.
And they might start cutting to it and working with it right away. But that's out of your control.
Right.
You don't know where it's coming from. And as you know, being a veteran in this business is you just can't call, did you get it? And was it good? And why wasn't I used? And, what happened? And you can't do that, so you just have to have faith in the system that it's going to get done. And there's a lot of sliding, moving panels. And as you become more and more of a veteran,
you have to have a lot of faith that they're going to be paying you for the appropriate amount of work that they're putting out there.
Yeah.
Faith that the agent will be quick, that the whoever's in charge is quick.
Yeah.
A lot of faith there, Brian.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like that.
And it just pieces have to kind of fall into place.
Right.
But you don't know if and when and how and you don't know. You just do it. And remember when we were young talents? A long time ago. Do you remember when we were young talents and you would do something and you were so eager to know how you did on it that you would follow up with a buyer or an agent and go, hey, did you get the audition? And they're like, yes. And how was it? Great. Hope you get it. Are you sure it wasn't too slow? You sure did I sound too high when I read it, or was it too deep? And
I would
agents,
piss off casting directors with that all the time. I'd be in the booth and go, "Are you sure you like that one? Should I try it a different way?" And they would look at me with this disdain.
Just read.
It's fine.
Right. I know. I want to change it. I'll tell you. Because you're just so afraid when you walk out of the session. God, I sucked. That sucked. Hey, they're not going to use me. This was awful.
Question.
But there's also terrible casting directors and there's terrible directors and we're living where the generation is kind of different. You know what I mean? People used to over direct or to get the confident people that just know what they want. And they're like, great, I know what I can use after that. And you do 2 takes and then there's the make you do 50 takes because they don't know what they want. So.
Well, I'm curious to see how this all plays out, now with the AI voices coming onto the scene. I guess it's going to come down to the producers deciding if that is, in fact, the route they want to go.
I already had a TV station approach me about that stuff, believe it or not. And the agency is trying to they're scrambling, trying to put verbiage in their contracts about, however, whatever. Who's going to pay attention to that? But, there was I have a station in Hartford, Connecticut, Channel 3, and a producer called me or emailed me. He goes, hey, have you ever heard of 11 Labs, the program? I said, yeah. He said, look what we did with your voice. And it was the topical, like tonight on Action News, tonight on Eyewitness News, a car crash, explosion, the Fed is meeting today about something or whatever. And he had me doing it in Spanish.
Oh my God. That is so creepy.
I wonder if I still have it. But he said, we would never use it. I just want to let you know. But what they are doing is because we're already using it on our anchors. That's the first time I heard about a TV station doing that.
What
We're
do you
already
mean?
using it on our anchors. Our anchors, when they're really busy at their desks or whatever, and we need tonight. Hi, this is meteorologist, blah, blah, blah. We're going to check the weather tonight. And it's on a radio spot or a cutaway or something. They'll
Sure.
do it.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I can see that efficiency.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So they're not taking away the personality. They're just taking, and the anchor isn't losing any money. It's just convenient.
Right. Right.
You know, it's not replacing an anchor.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, what happens when we get to the point where the computer can do the anchor?
Right. Mm-hmm. I know.
You know, what happens when this here can get duplicated, synthetically generated, digitally made?
Yeah.
And so you literally will have the anchor on the set doing the live news. But if there was some kind of, I think it's coming.
Yeah. I think there are definitely going to be elements that are going to be, you know, people have been putting together movies and putting famous actors in them, and it's all AI generated.
Yeah, like Carrie Fisher in Star Wars. You know, she's dead. She's dead.
Yeah,
and now she's talking, and I'm looking at her,
and
it's a little creepy.
But this is like, I saw something the other day. I don't know if it was like an Instagram reel somebody had posted, and it literally was just your everyday Joe putting this together as a hobby. You know, creating this. And it looked odd, you know, it did not look, but, you know, you realize you're like, if the average person can play with it, you know, what is next?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
didn't I send you that thing a month or two ago? It was the voice synthesizer. I
mean, I think that I don't want to be afraid of anything, because I think that as human beings, we'll figure things out. We'll figure out something, what's going to work for us.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, and it's important to think about it. But I think at this point, because AI is such a topic, it's really kind of, I don't want to hear about it anymore. It's just enough. Every news feed that I read in the morning, everything is about this coming out with AI. Okay, fine. It's like, I need a break personally.
Yeah. Well, I think it's that big of a deal. You know, I was watching the news last night, and they were talking about that the people like ChatGPT and OpenAI and Microsoft are asking the government to regulate it.
Yes, and that's scary.
When you hear of a large company saying we need regulation on this,
or the gentleman that what he was one of the original guys and he quit because he's like afraid.
I made this. Goodbye.
Yeah.
I'm going off grid, all the money, and I'm living on an island with no satellite, no internet, no anything, nothing, computer, and they can't touch me. But I don't, you know, have you used ChatGPT? Have you used AI? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've used it for idea generation.
Yep.
For me, if I'm trying to think up maybe a blog post or even if I need to write a commercial. But honestly, the results are really shitty.
Yeah, they're pretty anemic. I think that they're idea generator.
Yeah, you know? But it didn't even get me started on the spot I wound up writing was so different, and I had to continually regenerate response. And I was like, I can't do this. This is like it's repetitive. It's generic. It's, you know, it just didn't work for me.
Right.
I know it can help in other industries. I'm sure it helps some writers, but I don't know. What about you? Are you using it in your daily work?
No. I use it when I am interested in something like medically or something, you know, like Elwood, the cat. He had a transfusion on Wednesday.
Oh.
Yeah, he had a transfusion last Wednesday up at UF. You know, I flew him up to UF, and he was in the hospital for, I think I got him in there on Tuesday. He was there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I picked him up on Saturday, and he's still with me.
What's going on with him, though?
Oh, he's got anemia. He's got anemia. He's got congestive heart failure. He's, you know, almost 16 now. Yeah. And, but you know, what a fighter. He's like a fighter.
He was always a fighter.
He's always a fighter. But, you know, he's hanging in there. And so, you know, I typically use something like OpenAI or ChatGPT to open a discussion about something, about medically, you know, what do you know? Of course, it only goes back to 2021, you know, with the knowledge of the AI. Things like that. I've had a lot of fun messing around, like, you know, write me a commercial for McDonald's in about Valentine's Day in the style of Dr. Seuss. and it'll just,
Yeah.
it'll throw out like a green eggs and ham type commercial. So I've just kind of messed around with it. As far as being useful yet to me,
Yeah.
and just, like medically, factually, stuff like that, learning about, because of the illness of the cat, stuff like that. But no,
I worry
there's
about the validity of it because then I have to go do further research.
right. Well, one of the highest paid jobs right now, my understanding, is prompt engineers, because you're prompting AI for a response and you want to get, and so they're hiring kind of the most effective prompt engineers who know how to prompt AI in order to get the proper answer results, to lead AI down a beneficial path, a progressive path of information. And,
Right.
So that's, I think that, yeah, it's scary. It's dangerous. It's amazing at the same time.
Yeah. There's a lot.
I read a few articles about it, and everything crazy stuff, like a woman fell in love with her ChatGPT, and the ChatGPT professed its love to her and tried to get her to leave her husband. I mean, really really crazy stuff. And then AI got, but I think before it was, kind of tweaked a little bit.
Yeah. Uh-oh. You muted on me. I can't hear you. What happened to you? Hello? Put the glasses on. Did you hit something?
Am I back?
There you are.
I just muted and unmuted. That's weird. Okay, so back to what I was saying. That they have kind of put some limits on AI right now, that if you go too dynamic in belief systems or whatever, it goes, hey, I'm not going to participate in it. I did fool it one time. I asked for something and it went, I don't typically get involved, emotionally, or whatever it said, or whatever dynamically. And I said, I said, I know, either do I. However, I'm doing research and on an educational basis. This is for education and learning. It goes, oh, okay. And it just gave it all to me. I'm like, wow, I convinced AI to throw away its synthetic scruples, out of the way.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay. It just kind of gave it to me. I'm like,
now some of these websites, what's the big one that has the AI voices on it? And they try to show you examples, or like, pick if this is an AI or this is an AI, and you're watching this little video or something. I can tell. And like the other day, I don't know if I was in the grocery store or something, and I was listening to the overhead. I'm listening to the voice. I'm thinking, that sounds like AI.
Oh, wow.
It does not sound.
Thank you for shopping at Safeway.
All everything
was perfectly enunciated. Yeah. That's how you can tell, because our part of our speech is what makes us human.
Right.
I've cloned some voices to see what it is, and the likeness is all there, but it's absolutely perfectly dictated. There's nothing. That's, when they start messing around with it. The latest thing I did is that 11 Labs has voice cloning. You dump a voice into it, and it does its best job to try to clone it. Right. Can't make it exact, but it can make it pretty good. And then now they just came out with it's like an absolute 100%, print of your voice. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they said, feed in up to an hour and a half of audio. So I fed in 15 minutes of audio, and I did it instead of me just reading normal love. Cause I'll challenge you, you stupid AI box. I'll challenge you. And what I did is I did all promo, tonight on CBS 2 News, this kind of a read. Tonight on CBS 2 News, the subway's offline again. Commuters are stranded and unhappy. We'll be looking at it tonight at 6. I did that. I said, yeah, duplicate that. Do it. And so they said, we'll get back to you in July. That's some automatic thing. Yes. And it said in July, we will get back to it. So July is inevitably approaching. And
now we have recorded it, and we can.
But I only gave it 15 minutes. I didn't give it an hour and a half. I gave it 15 minutes of that same kind of promo in that kind of window, that genre or that style. It's not even a genre, promo for news is such a synthetic kind of barking, that you do, we wouldn't talk to someone that way.
Have you heard about, do you and Taylor have your clue word or clue phrase in case one of you gets kidnapped and your voice is screaming over a phone at somebody going, send $1 million, because now apparently that's what's happening. They're basically taking your voice.
That's very interesting. No, we don't.
So you need to create one. Matt and I created one because I thought, you know what, my voice is out there and stuff easily just pick it up and create something to fear in my family's eyes. And so we just created a phrase that only he and I would know. So if you get the call, you go, what's the phrase? What's the password?
Right. And if they put a knife to his throat and he goes, ham sandwich, you go, oh my God, here's $1 million.
Right.
I mean, does it ever work? Does it ever work out that way? I mean, okay, so they've kidnapped you and they call Matt.
Right.
And you're like, honey, it's Linda. I've been kidnapped. I mean, are they going to make you set it to scared?
Yeah.
Why are you so optimistic and monotone about your kidnapping, honey? Honey, I've been kidnapped. I need $1 million or they're going to kill me. You can send it to, meet a guy on the corner of, and it's going to sound so, and he's going to be going, honey, are you okay? I'm fine.
I'm fine. How are you?
How are you?
We have.
Is this some kind of joke? No, honey, it's not a joke. I've really been kidnapped and they're going to kill me.
I think they sound pretty realistic, though.
I think that honestly that you have to, especially being a voice actor. I mean, I think that if they call me, you have to say that you are going to also create a crazy amount of latency or lag in your voice. Like, honey, I've been just something that if it's not right or whatever. But because if they say you can only read this, what's your convinced word? Say the phrase, honey. Yeah. I can't.
What phrase?
Trying to make her talk about this. I mean, so.
Yeah.
What phrase?
What phrase? It's always about the inflection's always off too.
I think if someone really had you on the phone and you could do that, that's fine. But yeah, they have to
get a safe phrase, get a safe word.
It would have to be something. It would have to be something that you would say if you were kidnapped. I'm really, 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 really scared. Oh, okay. This is real. What are they going to do? They want you to be scared and freak out the other person on the line when they have a knife to you, or So I think it would be adjective. I think it would be adjectives or something like that.
Adjectives.
Yeah, I'm really, really scared. I'm really scared, or something like that. Are you scared? Yeah, I'm scared. But
the thing is, though, okay, if you're not being kidnapped, though, and it's a hoax, which is the whole thing, that's the whole purpose of it. They don't actually have you at knife point. It is a company or a person or whatever.
Oh, like leaving a voicemail to Matt. Hi, honey, it's me. I'm going to go to the grocery store and I'll be home.
But like they've
send $1 million.
They manipulate it, and the person is like, I'm being held against my will. Please send such that kind of thing.
Right.
That's where it'd be good.
By the way, 11 Labs, to do the exact voice, they opened my microphone on my computer and made me read a random phrase because they didn't want somebody else to steal my voice. Like if you took 10 years of Brian Lee and said, I want to make an exact duplicate of Brian Lee, not a clone, but but not what they call cloning, which is not perfect, but their main system. And you sent it in, right?
Right.
When I fed it in, I'm like, there we go. And it goes, yeah, we need to know this is really you.
Oh.
And it goes,
prove it.
It says, can we open your microphone and have you read a phrase? If not, we're not going to do it. So I went, okay.
Interesting.
And it opened the microphone and it went, read this now. And it gave you. So I couldn't take Peter Thomas and take his voice and clone him completely because I can't, he's not alive. So I can't I can't make him say something. They would know. Maybe I'll clone him and use their own system to throw it back at them. But I'm sure they thought about that. We know this is our synth voice, so.
I read an article this morning that there's this company that's going to be selling TVs that are also going to have like a separate monitor that is showing advertisements and stuff. But in addition to it, the TV has a microphone that can record you, listen to everything, submit it to God knows who, and it has a camera.
That doesn't surprise me. I saw something today.
What's that in their house, though?
It was a clip. Joe Rogan did a clip on. I read the terms in my TikTok agreement. Oh, it's like, this is what TikTok. This is what the application on your phone is doing, and you agree to it, and you don't want to read what it does.
It's bad.
It's basically, it records every keystroke you type in. So all your passwords, it knows where you go, what account, if you go somewhere and you put in a username and password, it knows the link because it knows where you went. It knows where you go. It knows your IP address. It knows your keystrokes. It knows what operating system you're using and how many. I just looked at it and just went, ugh. And then I tried to rationalize that by going, I'm one guy. Why would they care about me? There's billions of people on Earth with TikTok. Why me? They don't care about me.
You might be
until one day one of their bots gets to my name, loads every website, my banking information, and dumps all my passwords into it until it gets it. And if you're stupid like me, you have like 4 passwords that you use on everything, and they'll hit it eventually. So yeah, it's just
back to trailers real quick. What are your most favorite lines that you've said
in a world?
What's the most common? What's the most common?
Rolling Stone calls, Vanity Fair calls, Rotten Tomatoes scores, it's always like Rolling Stone calls it a masterpiece, the best film of the year, the #1 comedy of the year, bring the whole family. It's all the same 8 lines. You'll walk out of the theater dancing, This is a movie to see. This is a movie to see in a theater.
Oh, right.
A movie so fantastic, you'll want to see it in a theater. You'll want to go to the movies. Yeah, that's, all these trailers and this 4 lines.
Right. Yeah.
It doesn't talk of anything about the movie or the actor.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck is amazing. Matt Damon gives the best performance of his career. It's just, why don't we start a trailer company? Just start one. But that's the scary part.
Yes.
Because they'll just load in 8 AI lines and make 1,000 trailers with it.
Right. Just like contained within the trailer. For the few lines you may have.
How to promote it? How to promote it? I don't know if the union's going to get involved with it. I don't know if SAG-AFTRA is going to get involved, saying, "Look, you're a union shop. You can't use AI."
Right.
But
on it.
I think that's probably going to happen. I think that people are just trying to figure out what legally they can do, because AI is not a human. So it's the representation of humans, human actors, so if you're not using a human actor, then how could the union have a right over, have the right to tell you to use a human? Although they kind of do that now. You have to use a human if you're a signatory. You have to use humans, you can't use non-union humans. You have to use union humans. And now it's going to be what?
But in the non-union world, nothing's regulated.
But in the non-union world, nothing is regulated. And if a voice is synthetically created and generated, it's not even a person. So how do you regulate something that isn't real? Maybe
the process is just regulated. The process of the creation of the synthetic voice.
Maybe it probably have to go into some kind of, I don't know. It's above my pay grade. I just don't know what they're going to do.
Shifting gears slightly. I was thinking about this the other day. When you wash dishes or do something with water, you start to pontificate about elements of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like in your shower,
bathtub, existential crisis. Yeah. Why am I here? Look at my hand. Oh no.
I flashed to the early 90s I was manning the phones at the radio station and you were trying to get a hold of me. And I finally called you back from like the office phone or something, screaming at me.
I was?
Yeah. And
why? What did you do?
I have a feeling it's because I didn't call you back in a timely manner for maybe a job.
Right.
And so this was like the beginnings of my lessons.
Screaming at you? Is that really my...
Yes, you were. Back then you were. You were hot-headed.
Maybe.
You were passionate, and you were
well, there was, I don't know if it was personal as much as it was professional.
Yeah,
right?
I'm sure it was professional. Yeah, but I remember just sitting there. It's like,
how dare you? I mean, was I like, what?
Yeah, it was just like, you need to be mom. And I was just like, what the hell is going on?
I called you, what, were you on the air or something? Or
No,
I
wasn't. No, I was working in the business office, and they had me go up to the front because somebody had to go to lunch. So I'm like, all right, I'll answer the phones. And then I think that's how you finally got
K-Rock, Linda.
Yeah.
I mean, what,
yeah, I think that's what it was.
I don't remember that. And I wouldn't mind you reminding me. It was about this, and it was a Nissan Spot, and you weren't around, and I wasn't around, and you were like, and you were going to lose the account, and there was a change. We said payments as low as $300 a month, and it was $350, and where are you? AI.
It had something really to do with that. But you remember?
Now I don't need you. I was typing Linda $350.
That's what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And you had someone working for you, which we won't mention her name because I think she's still working. But remember, she wouldn't give you my messages when I would call.
Yeah, very bad person.
And I'd be like, I did call you back.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And then you find out, oh, wait.
Yeah. I remember that person.
Yeah. So the early 90s. Anyway, that was what was running through my head when I was washing dishes the other day. I just figured I'd share it with you.
Yeah. I just can't believe that it was like, I went into it when I sold my studio, or I gifted my studio. I remember going into the storage closet to look for stuff that I want to take. And it was like a time capsule going backwards. It was like, in the front, there was all like thumb drives and stuff like that. And behind that were like stacks of CDs, burnable CDs, blank CDs. And then behind that were a stack of DATs. And behind that was pancakes of 1/4-inch tape, because this is where the industry is going. And then there was nothing, because we just emailed everything and kept things on hard drives. There was the delivery method had changed, but a lot has changed. I mean, what people I think fail to see, or at least I haven't found anybody who thinks this way, but we wonder, how we got here. And the thing is that you didn't, I think that Betty White said it the best in 2010 when she was on SNL. Mm-hmm. And she goes, when I was on TV, we did everything live. It's not like we wanted to, we just didn't know how to tape things, and that's really it, So I think that technology has, it's created, it breeds last minute, it breeds convenience, it breeds, FedEx was huge when it came out. I can get something to Cleveland overnight, papers. And then when the fax machine came out, it's like, here you go, documents. And then when you sign over a fax machine, and then, beep cell phones. Now I don't have to find a payphone from my beeper. I don't find, and so now, so when I worked on projects a long time ago, we had tons of time. Your mindset, like a program director at a radio station or a creative services director at a television station, would have a meeting with an EP and a news department, whatever. And they're going to, hey, we're going to do a series on the homeless. Mm-hmm. And when does this? Okay, the series is going to start the middle of next week. And so there was time to go out, do research, find, interview, shoot people, come back, write it, get it, fax it to me to voice, me to track it, get it back. And there were no pickups back then. There was no, we had a revision. None of that existed. Right. They were because you didn't think that this line, unless it was factually incorrect, which, you weren't in a hurry back then. So it wasn't. It was always factually correct to get it done. And so you didn't even think that you could get a quick revision. Mm-hmm. You didn't even think it. So everything was on this kind of taking a bus instead of an airplane type of an attitude. Mm-hmm. And, or like now it's like Star Trek transporting. It's like, there it is. I just went and then there I am. And so what has happened is over time, deadlines have gotten shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter because we can deliver things so much quicker over the internet.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what that has also created is a tremendous amount of anxiety and indecision on the part of the producer or the executive producer or the writer. And that has that has kind of flowed down to the talent, right? And so think about it. Back in the day, I would do promos or liners or something for a radio station, put it on a reel of tape, take it to FedEx, they get it the next day, and then they would produce it or whatever. Or vice versa. I would get some VO person would do it, and I would get it on a tape, put it together that next day, FedEx it out that night, and it would get there the next day.
Right.
And everybody was just so ahead with their promotions, their ideas, their whatever. And so now you're tied to the computer, you're tied to your phone, you're tied because everything is like last minute. I did an entire, news open yesterday for a TV station. And then like 20 minutes later, they sent an entire new open.
Wow.
Because they wanted to rearrange the story idea. Okay, we're dumping this number 3 story. We're dumping that. We're making a new number 1 of a 3-part tease. We're making a new number 1, a new number 2, and then we'll make number 2, number 3. And this airs in 40 minutes.
Yeah. Wow.
The open to the news.
Wow.
Like tonight, next. It's like number 1, number 2, number 3. That changed. Literally, I've gotten changes in, I swear to God, 10 minutes before hit time.
Wow.
That means an editor is sitting there, needs to drop it, throw it all together, and export it into a system so it plays on TV in 10 minutes.
I would get revisions for the live reads, the live announce. And right before I'm about to announce Fran Drescher, they've just rewritten the bio, and she's standing on the side of the stage, and I'm there, and they're like, no, you can't say that. And I'm just like, oh, God.
They're writing it down and putting it in front of you.
Yes, and like
coming up,
that bead of sweat here, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so
And so that's it. But the entire, I think that humanity has just in this generation has come to expect it.
Oh yeah,
I want a song right away. I want a movie right away.
Well, it's the same thing with learning voiceover. They want to learn it instantly.
And they want to be successful at it and making money in it in a day. Yeah. I'm a voiceover, and we've got decades of this.
I had a 15-year-old kid who hired me to do an assessment with him last week, and there I am on Zoom, waiting for the assessment to start, and all of a sudden he logs in, and he's on his scooter outside. So he plans on reading a script. And I'm like, what are you doing? Right. I got to get home. Okay, I'll be home in 2 minutes. Oh, red light. Hold that red light. Oh, make the left. And I'm hearing his little journey as he gets himself up to his room. Now the assessment's only 20 minutes. Now we're already 10 minutes in.
Right.
So I said, why don't we just reschedule? Because we're not going to have time to do this. No. I'm good. We're good. Finally gets everything. And he says, this isn't cutting into my time, right? I go, yes, it is.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah, it's a 20-minute assessment, or my favorite. How long is the 20-minute assessment? 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So I rescheduled him kindly. Next day, we do connect. And he just starts saying to me, I just want to get this done quickly. It's something that I want to do.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, that's not a possibility. And he's like, well, I just want to, this is what I want to do. So I'm like, well, I'm not the coach for you. So I sent him off, but it's that instantaneous attitude and the frustration that comes with it of what really I have to actually, think and work on my craft.
It's all about that. It's all about them.
Yeah.
I don't mean that in a mean way. I don't.
It's how
I'm not trying to be mean.
Which is why they're thinking this is also how it is.
Because everything around them works that way.
Right.
They get everything. They're hungry. They call DoorDash. Or Uber Eats, and it comes to them. I have never ordered groceries from. I haven't done that. Where you pick the groceries and somebody brings it to your house and here's your order. I've never done it. Not that I don't believe in it. I just have never gotten a part of that mentality.
Yeah.
I go down 20 stories, get in my car, and drive to the grocery store and walk in the middle of the day if I'm busy. I never think about, I need.
Yeah.
I don't think that way. And like I said before, it's not that I'm old or just. It's just
how you operate.
It's just it's how I operate. But this right here,
I know it's so
just
annoying.
But that's it's not going anywhere. That's how people communicate. And
I had to set up
it's funny. You ever take what's that?
I just set up the focus feature on my phone that when I arrive to work, the geo tracking thing,
Mm-hmm.
my phone only allows calls from like 2 people and no other notifications, because I would be here working and my watch would be going off and my phone's going off. And I'm like, I can't concentrate. I can't focus. I need this time.
Right.
But you have to kind of set up those controls in your life.
Yeah. Yeah. Or just have a mentality with it. I mean, I don't mind. I'm really not, I'm not social.
Work.
What's that?
You get a lot of instantaneous requests for work.
I do. But I'm not social.
Email?
I don't really email. Yeah. And my clients have my phone number. They can text me. Hey, I just emailed you something or whatever, but I don't care. But I don't have a social load, that's always pulling on me. You know what I mean? I remember talking to producers who were in their 40s now. And I said, how much of the day do you spend on Facebook? Because that's what was big back then, not Instagram or TikTok, was Facebook. And she was also trying to find somebody to date. So she was on Tinder, Match, eHarmony.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking to myself, how much that social media ruins productivity, right? But when that's your whole life, when your whole life is that, I get in my car and I pull up to a light, I look in my back through my rearview, and someone's always on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they're 80, they're on their phone.
Yep.
They're talking. They're texting.
They can't just sit and wait for the light to change.
No, not in a million years. And then there's the ones that'll do all that crap while they're driving.
Oh, right. I know.
And you just hope that you're not the one in front of them, because they'll hit you. They'll hit you. And you don't even know what their conversation is about.
Right.
Could it be, I'm breaking up with you? Into the person in front of you, So you just don't know. So we've kind of tapped into a bunch of stuff. I think that the younger generation out there listening to this is just kind of probably looking at me going, boomer, which I'm not. I'm younger than a boomer, but that they're going like,
I had a student call me a fossil the other day. He goes, "You're a fossil," because I'm in my 50s. And I think he was trying to be funny and cute. He's
surprised. I'm surprised that he came up with that word.
Well, I know. And I said, how old's your dad? He goes, 52. I go, that's how old I am. Yeah, right. He's a fossil too.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just now, I did that wedding in, I did that wedding in New York, and the groom's dad was my age.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And I love his son. His son is great. I'm like, how old are you? He's like 30. And I'm like, right, you're 30 and I'm 52. So that's right. Your dad was 22 when you were born. That's normal.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh no. So yeah. So that's starting to slide, and it will continue to slide more and more and more, where the people that I'm working could be my kids.
Yes.
It's not, it's rare that most of the people I'm working with are my age, or maybe 10 years younger than me, maybe 15, 35, 39, things like that. But it's coming.
Yeah. I work in the 30 to 40 range. Seems to be the clients are in that range.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. I don't know what someone in their 20s would think about this conversation. I mean, to me, maybe they would look at us like when we were in our 20s, listening to someone talk about what it was like to be in World War II.
Right.
There were tanks everywhere, and there were planes flying, and things were blowing up, and we didn't know if we were going to survive. And you're going, that sucks. That sucks. But think about how we thought about it. We weren't going, really?
I have
Tell me what it was like to be in Vietnam. We didn't.
I have several students who kind of run the gamut. So they go from like 18. Well, no, I even have some younger kids that come. And then I have a lot of people in their early 20s. And they're all creativity focused. So I find that I can bond with them on that level. So with performance and creativity and expression, especially because they're all interested in video games and animation. And so that's how I can bond with them. Because otherwise, one I asked the other day, I go, "Do you remember Masterpiece? Do you know what Masterpiece Theater is?" And he's looking at me like,
you know what TV is? You know what PBS is?
I know.
Did I tell you this? I was up in Georgia not too long ago, and I was talking, I had to do some work up there on a, I had to do some stuff, and I was up there and I was talking to the lady at the desk, and she's like, "What do you do?" And I said, "I do voiceover." And I said, "I'm a voice of a station in Atlanta." And she's like, "Oh, which one?" I said, "Blah." She goes, "Oh, that's you. Oh my God, that's amazing." Which is, great. The adulation is wonderful when they can appreciate it. And then there's a girl standing next, and she was like the head of technology or something for the company. That was her division. She was like 32, and she's just sitting there like I'm speaking Chinese. She has no clue what we're talking about. And she's been working there for 5 years, and she knows this woman, and this woman's saying, "Oh, wow. So you do like the news?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Oh, that's pretty wild." And I looked at her and I actually said, "Do you know what we're talking about?" She goes, "No." I said, do you watch TV? She goes, "I don't know what channel 46 is." I don't even know.
Right.
I said, "So you don't watch TV?" And she goes, "Well, I watch shows." I said, "Streaming?" She goes, "Netflix, Hulu." I said, "Do you ever turn on television?" She goes, "To watch Netflix." Mm-hmm. I said, "So you don't like turn on NBC or CBS?" She goes, "I don't even know where that is." Wow. "I don't know what's on it. I don't care." And I'm like, what do you, she goes, I'm on Instagram and I just find what everybody's watching. They all want to watch the new whatever. And then I binge watch, whatever. So, and people in their cars, even though radio's a huge medium, people in their cars are pretty much on their phones the whole time. Mm-hmm. They're not cranking up and if they are listening to music, it might be their own music. So, right. But, so everything is sliding. It's a generation. I don't know what's coming. I don't know what's from behind that. I don't,
No, it's good. It's important to keep up with it. And it's important to stay knowledgeable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But I always told myself when I was younger, I said, I'm going to be cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to be cool. And I'm going to the kids are just I'm going to be one of them. This is really cool. And I was able to pull that off, through my 20s, and because I thought 20s was old back then, and 30s. And now in my 50s, and they don't. I listened to my daughter pull up. She's on the phone with me and on her speakerphone in her car, and she pulls up to a Starbucks to order something. And I swear that we talk the same. And she's kind of short about that. "Hey, do you have any blah, 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 whatever? Do you have any ham Swiss Gouda wraps today?" And they're like, "Let me check." And I'm like, God, that was kind of short and rude, but it wasn't. But, because I'd be like, "Hey, how you doing today?" And they're like, "Fine. Why are you asking me? I don't care." So it's just that. And she gets over there, and then she has this conversation, this really quick back and forth conversation with the person at the drive-thru, and it's all great. I try to mimic that. I go to a Starbucks and I'll pull up to the drive-thru and I'll say, and they'll go, "How can I help you?" And I'll go, "Yeah, I want a tall white mocha frap. And do you have a protein bistro? Do you have any protein bistro boxes?" "I'm sorry, what?" It's like, "Do you have any protein bistro boxes?" She goes, "I'll have to check." She doesn't do that with my daughter. and she comes back. She goes, "Yep, we have one." "Okay, so I'd like one of those." "Okay. And just the Frappuccino?" "Yeah." "Okay. Pull around." It's just like, what?
You're not cool.
Am I cool? Exactly. I'm not. And I have to deal with that.
Yeah, we all do.
And she just,
reality of it.
It's just something that is just there. It's and how we're looked at by, 2-3 generations below us. It's just, this is the way it is.
Because I have students, I have to try to keep up with what they're looking at, what they want to perform.
But do they look to you as knowledgeable, or do they look to you as, I got to do this to do what I want to do?
No, the majority of them are doing it to improve on their performance abilities. So they come to me for like techniques and things that they can do behind the mic.
That's good. And obviously you can tell if they care, or if they're grasping it, or if they respect you.
But manga decks is like a really big thing right now that they like to read. And that's the old Japanese animation. And you have to read it from right to left. And it's so difficult, but it's like, okay, I need to know. This is what some of the students.
What's the purpose of that? Why? Where does it get them?
I don't know.
No.
I don't know what they want.
So it could be culture. It could be a fad. It could be, because people, that's just it. People don't, I'm sounding like in my day, but I'm not really. It's just what stimulates the young mind. And it's just whatever they just can thumb up, how fast they can thumb up on a phone and read about whoever. And that is what satiates them. That's what fills them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not anything that's what I would consider depth or dimensional or learning or connecting or conversing. How long have we been on talking right now?
An hour.
Mm-hmm. And I can't think of the last time I saw a 22-year-old talk for an hour.
Right.
This way, maybe.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's not that it's wrong.
It's just different.
It's just different. And this is how they communicate. I think that a lot of anxiety and disconnection and depression and just feelings of dread and everything come from this only because there's not this.
Right. The lack of social connection.
There's no touch. Right. It's like when you see kids, like horrible stories about kids in foster homes, they have no parent. They sit there and they go like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's not a parent doing this. It's just, so I don't know. We may come full circle with it. This is everything. They always say that everything, history repeats itself. And so AI may go, people might sour on AI and just go, God, we want so much more of this.
I feel it's going to go in that direction eventually.
Yeah. People may start souring on social and there might be a whole, almost like a Me Too movement. Something will happen and somebody will say, this is not what we do. This is what we do. This is the best way to communicate. And humans are amazing people,
Yeah. And we will rebound and we'll find a way.
And I think so. So, but
thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, absolutely.
We covered a few things. We covered the trailers. We talked about the producers. But yeah, a lot of fantastic information.
Yeah.
And we talked about how you yelled at me when I was 20.
Yeah, I still don't remember why. As far as I'm concerned, it was your fault.
I'm sure it was.
Should I apologize now?
Yeah, let's do that.
I'm really sorry I yelled at you.
Okay, thanks.
Whatever the reason was for. It was probably not a nice thing to do. And now, how many years ago was that?
Well, 24,
30.
A lot, yeah, a long time.
If it's I'll tell you, and I'll be completely honest now. If 25 or 30 years ago I yelled at you and it made that much of an impression and an impact on you to where it did actually scar you and make you bring it up, I am truly sorry.
Oh, thank you.
So, absolutely.
It's just a memory.
Yeah, a really good one. Thank you for telling the world. Appreciate it. This is how you get your revenge. The thousands of people are going to watch this. Brian Lee is a dick.
I'm all about sharing truth and all.
Right. Thank you. All right. Well,
thank you, my friend.
You're welcome. Absolutely. Always a pleasure. Now I'm going to go work.
Yes.
And all my very best to you. And so long, everybody.
This wraps up another episode of the Voiceover Gurus podcast. And now you can hear Brian Lee sing us out. Have a great day, guys. Because you're the intro and the outro.
Play us out. What does that mean to play us out?
Thanks for listening to the Voiceover Gurus podcast. Real talk about the voiceover industry. Learn more about us and get coaching at voiceover.guru.